So I finally took the plunge last year and started my first Brandon Sanderson novel. I was always kind of hesitant based on the things that I had read or heard about his books. But I did hear that Mistborn was the best one to read as a beginner. So I picked up a digital copy, and it actually has the trilogy in it, which is a little bit daunting reading on an e-reader and only seeing after months of reading that I'd only done 20%. So I actually can't imagine how big it would be in real life. So I'm right at the end of the first book, I think. And so I wanted to do a video just to chat about my thoughts and maybe to entertain any Brandon Sanderson fans out there, or give people that are thinking of reading one of his books or some encouragement, maybe. I kind of stopped reading when I was in university. That kind of knocked out my interest, I guess. When I was a child, I used to read so much, all the time, constantly reading. I think I finally got back into reading maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, but I probably only get through about 10 to 12 books a year, so not a lot, which is why sometimes I shy away from some of the bigger fantasy novels, just because I feel like it's going to take up a chunk of my year and I might not get through some other stuff. But I generally read science fiction and fantasy, and I like kind of skipping between both of them. So as I mentioned before, I'm reading the digital version and I'm right near the end. Now, actually, I'm loving it. It's way more welcoming than I expected. I think that I was expecting more flowery language or just huge swaths of world building sections that kind of break up the action. But honestly, it's been action packed pretty much throughout, which is a feat when you've got a book that is that big. And it doesn't mean that there's no world building in it at all. It just comes through really organically through the dialogue and the actions that take place. I love the magic system in it based on metals. I think it's really unique. And without spoiling anything, I'm keen to see what some of the mysteries surrounding the metals are. I think Vin still has some things to learn about some of the metals, which I'm really interested in finding a little bit more about. The book itself actually reminds me a little bit of some other fantasy heist novels that I've read, such as the Six of Crows series by Leigh Bardugo, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, honestly, Mistborn feels like a fantasy heist novel, really. And it's been really, really fun to read. Obviously, there's some shocks that happen throughout, like I said, no spoilers. But yeah, it all makes sense. I'm really keen to see where it goes. I will say, though, I'm not the kind of person that generally likes to go straight onto a second book in a series after the first. I know some people just go straight through and just read every single book, but I kind of like a bit of variety. So I'm currently also reading Red Rising, which I took some time out from because I got a little bit bogged down in the middle of it. But I'm listening to the audiobook of it, and I jumped back in last week, and I'm really glad I did because I'm right near the end of that too, and it's great. When I read, I often read a couple of other books on the side, which is how I've been reading Mistborn because it's such a long one. So I'm basically at the end of almost 2 huge fantasy novels, which means I can't see myself jumping straight into the second one of either. I probably would go straight onto like a science fiction novel because I've got a whole bunch sitting there waiting for me because as I said, I don't read that many in a year. So my TBR list is huge. So yeah, that's all for now. Just a quick one. I just wanted to get some thoughts out there, and I'd love to hear from any of you who might have read it or are thinking about reading it or have experience with other Brandon Sanderson novels. Are they similar, or does the language change? Does his writing style change in different books? Like, I'm keen to understand why people always recommend this book as the first one, because, you know, does it mean the other ones are less action-packed, or yeah, just really interested to know. Leave a comment, let me know. But thanks for watching this far. And yeah, if there's anything else you want to hear about, let me know.